This is the Realty Classroom Podcast, episode number 52. Are complainers good for your business? Are you a real estate agent with an entrepreneurial spirit who wants to turn your job into a business without sacrificing your lifestyle, but you just can't seem to find the right plan to help you get there? Well, then, hey, you're definitely in the right place. I'm Danny Griffin, the founder of the Realty Classroom and the host of this podcast. And to help you take immediate action to build a better real estate agent, whether you're a veteran or a rookie, I've created a free jumpstart course over at freeagentgift.com. Now, what I think is important about that is it's a wireframe. So if you're a rookie, you definitely need it. I wish I had it when I was starting out. And if you're a veteran, and believe me, I am one and I coach them, we always need to double check our wireframe, meaning the structure of our plan. What's holding up the technical work? Otherwise, it crumbles down. So freeagentgift.com, get over there, take a listen. All right. In this episode, I want to get started with this concept of, are complainers good for your business? Huh? What? Has he flipped his wig again? Why is he asking this bizarre question? How could complainers possibly be good for the business? Well, let's start with the first point I want to make here. Why don't we like complainers to begin with? Let that sink in for a second. Why don't we like them? And if I just state the obvious, complainers are typically, in the context of business, complaining about us. They're saying, well, you told me this and it didn't happen that way. Or you said you were going to do this and you didn't do it. And so the real reason we don't like complainers is because what they're complaining about is us, and that hurts. I mean, really, does anybody really say every day they wake up, I can't wait to embrace a whole bunch of complaining? Now, I get it. It's a fine line between complaining and constructive criticism, and we'll get into that here. But the truth is, we just simply don't like complainers because it feels like they are attacking us. And so what we do when somebody attacks us is our insecurity immediately puts up our self-defense. And what do? We attack back, and probably even complain back at them. Well, you say that I didn't do this, but it's because you didn't do that. Or the market didn't help me. Or the marketing didn't go the way we thought it would. We complain right back. And what that does is just add fuel to the fire. And the next thing you know, you have this Molotov cocktail. Is it any wonder why relationships are blowing up between agents, buyers, and sellers? Really? Is it? No, because complaining is like an attack and everybody gets defensive to one level or the next. But I've been seeing things very differently over the last couple of years. I do really lean in when the dog bites. I take my own advice. I say, okay, well, wait a minute. If somebody's complaining, the next point here is, aren't they really just challenging my value? Are complainers just challenging the value of what you told them that you were going to give them? Right? And isn't that fair for people to do? So think about this. If I tell somebody that I have a marketing plan that I'm going to put forward, and I go and I do that, and even though I think I did a really good job of explaining it to them at the beginning of the process, then all of a sudden something's not going well. I'm not getting enough people through the door. We're not getting any feedback. People are wondering, well, what are you doing? Are you open housing it? Are you online? Maybe you should try this. And everything starts to get out of control. And I always say the tail begins to wag the dog, meaning you're the body of this work. And the consumer is the tail really starting to wag, going, come on, let's go. What's going wrong? And that bubbles up into complaint. But I think it's fair to complain if our communication is not as impeccable as it can be. In other words, are you the problem actually? Because are you actually explaining the difficulties of the situation? Remember, when we start off with a plan and we put it out there, it's theoretically what we think will happen. Let that sink in. Even if it's a really good plan, it's universal. This is the way it always goes down. It's theory until the rubber meets the road, meaning we now take that plan to the real world and the world beats on it. Meaning, hey, step one was we wanted to price it at this and we were wrong. Now the world doesn't come. Is that really about marketing or is it about pricing? So things can really go wrong there. So once you explain your plan up front, you're constantly needing to explain where you're at, what's happening, and how all the variables that you didn't know how they would affect the process would work out until now. So now you have to go back and say, geez, we did an open house. Nobody showed. We had it on Facebook. We had it syndicated through MLS, so it was up on all the apps. It was out there, and nobody came. We might have some problems here. You have to say that stuff right up front, or you're waiting for that complaint. And almost it's like a lumpy rug. The more things don't follow a plan, the lumpier the rug gets, meaning we're sweeping it all into the rug. Oh gosh, I don't want to talk to the seller. I don't want to tell the buyer that rates are up and, so are prices. I don't want to talk about that stuff. And the rug gets lumpy until boom, the complaint. And there it comes. And then we get defensive. So really, the irony is we're probably the problem, because all they're doing is saying, look, you explained that you are valuable to me as a seller or buyer this way. It's not working. And I need a result from you. So if I can't articulate that smoothly and I get emotional, I'm going to come across as a complainer. But what we need to do is listen. That's the most important thing that we have to do, is that we have to listen to the complainer. We have to see what they're complaining about and ask a simple question. Is that a legitimate complaint about my business? Did I not communicate properly? Did I not follow through on something I told them I was going to do? Did I promise open houses and I haven't even done one yet? Am I really being truthful with myself that this challenge to my value is not or is legitimate? And look, there are sometimes people just get emotional and the process is not going their way and they complain. And that's when we just have to sometimes lean in and calm them down, because that's part of the process too, that you're this guide trying to bring people down to earth and calm them down so they can see the process clearly. But oftentimes they'll strike very particularly at something. Hey, remember you told me you were going to be on Facebook and you were going to boost the post? I went to your page and I didn't see it. Legitimate, right? That's a fair complaint. And that speaks to your process. Oh my gosh, I forgot to do that. And that's where the value is in the complainer. This is why complainers are good for your business, because they're checking it and they're bold enough to speak up. What about all those people that we're working with as clients that never say a thing? They never complain. And then we'll scratch our head and say, well, why didn't they repeat with us? Why don't they refer to us, right? So the complainer actually helps you improve that part of your process that you really weren't thinking about, right? So the next point here is your value is the benefit you bring to complainers. If you really think about that, right? Your value is the benefit you bring to complainers. So, and others, as I just stated, right? So the complainer is the one who's helping you sharpen out those edges. So you're crisp, you're on top of it. They're challenging that process. So you have to keep refining that benefit. And I'll tell you what, it's interesting in my experience, people that complain and I listen and I course adjust, assuming that the complaint is legitimate. It's not some whacked out complaint, right? But assuming I do take that beat, I do find it's legitimate, and I make a correction. Boy, do they appreciate it. Because what they feel like they're part of is a two-way relationship now. So legitimate complainers, meaning they are really just questioning the value that you gave them and asking you to, keep your word or make adjustments or explain it deeper, whatever. They really are helping you sharpen your value for them and subsequently all those others that you have to then go serve, and you've made the process better for them and they never would have spoken up anyway. So now your business is really better. So you see what I mean? In that moment with the complainer, there's more value in the complainer and what they're doing to sharpen the process, but that benefits everybody who's going to go through that with you, right? So the last point here is that the adjustments to value, by the way, should be simple and practical. I mean, a complainer really, unless you're really a rookie and you have no idea what you're doing, you have zero guidance. Hopefully that's not true if you listen to this podcast, right? But let's just say you'd have to be egregiously way outside in the poppy fields with Dorothy and making wild mistakes. Otherwise, when somebody complains, the adjustment typically that you have to make to your value, your system, the way that you do things, should really be simple. And it should be practical, right? So let me give you an example. For all of you out there that have poo-pooed the value of an open house. Oh, those are a waste of time. The neighbors come and all that nonsense that you've been told or you told yourself, whatever it is. It's not right. It's actually part of getting off your butt and being proactive and trying to make a market for this property on the weekends, during the week, whenever you're going to do your open house. So you now go back to your process and say, look, here's what we do. We found that if we do an open house in the first 2 weeks and then the first 30 days, a couple of them at least are going to open up the doors, and we're going to see pretty quickly whether our first and initial implementation of the plan is effective. And the reason that we do that is because before, we worked with people who complained that we weren't doing them at a steady cadence. So I don't know if you can accommodate the second week and the fourth week for open houses, but we find because of somebody complaining in the past that actually improved the process. There's an example. Let me give you another example. In marketing, when I was sending out some marketing to expireds, I was using some formulas that I had learned, and they were aggressive. I was using trigger language in there, and that language was working. People were indeed picking up the phone. But what they were doing, though, was complaining. And they were saying, it's none of your business why I'm off the market. I took it off. And that was a fabulous complaint for me to hear. I'm like, I never really thought about the fact that I would be in front of that person who had intentionally taken their house off the market for some reason. So listen to this simple adjustment. I changed one little sentence or one part of a sentence. Unless you took your property off the market intentionally, I'm sure you're frustrated. When it used to say, I'm sure you're frustrated because it didn't sell. So think about that. That one complainer who said that to me, and the fact that I took the beat and listened, I was able to adjust that. And I have to tell you, since then, I haven't had that particular complaint once. So one complaint, one simple adjustment, and everybody now starts to benefit better. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Okay. So let me just reiterate where we're here. The subject here, are complainers good for your business? Clearly the answer is yes, but the points are, the reason we don't like them is because it hurts. We don't want to be wrong and we don't want to be attacked, but we have to get beyond that. That's insecurity. As business people, we need to be more open to that. The second point is complainers are actually challenging the value that you bring. And that's what's making you question the refinements that you need to make, because the truth is your value is the benefit that you bring to the complainers and others. So value equals benefit or not. And the complainers are letting you know, well, I'm not feeling so benefited here. But ultimately, if you listen to them, the adjustments, the last point, to value should be simple and practical, easy for you to make. Make them, okay? So to chunk up the key point here, let me summarize it this way. Listen closely to complainers and then redesign your work to focus on activities that maximize value and customer benefits. Pretty simple. Pretty simple. All right. Now, remember, you can take immediate action and get started in the right direction, working on the value of your business, refining things with our free video course over at freeagentgift.com. See, this is what I try to tell you. That wireframe will help you enhance value and make you less vulnerable to the egregious mistakes and complaints that you should be able to avoid in the beginning, right? Or all along your career. We also broadcast our live sales training on Facebook every Friday at 1 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time. So remember, just go over there and turn your notifications on. It'll pop up in Facebook when we go live. So if you happen to be there and you can listen in, we think it's super valuable for you and want to give it away to you. And don't forget to subscribe or follow us on whichever platform you're listening so that you don't miss out on any of our insights, because we hope you put them to work to your benefit. And if you like what you've learned here, then of course, we'd appreciate it if you would share these insights with other entrepreneurial real estate agents just like you so that they can join us over here. We want a bigger community of sharing and caring, all right? Hey, thanks for listening. And remember, nobody's coming for you. So go out there and get to work on your business. We'll see you in the next episode.